Hey guys, John here from Bring the SEO. Today we're going to be talking about how to boost profits with value-based pricing, in particular profit margins. I want to start this presentation by asking the following question. Who makes more money? SEO consultant A, who makes $80,000 a month, or SEO consultant B, who makes $120,000 a month? Now, the obvious choice would be SEO consultant B. However, the answer is whoever has the highest profit margins. Now, a common mistake for most SEO consultants, certainly most that I've worked with, is that they focus on revenue rather than profit. And this introduces all sorts of problems. And I think the first one that comes to mind is the frustration comes as a result of unsatisfactory earnings due to poor profit margins. And this is where the frustration is caused as a result of putting in all of this time and effort and getting to the end of the month and thinking, where the hell is all of this money? We're grinding, we're hustling, we're pushing sales, we're doing outreach, we're doing all of this work, and we really don't have much to show for it. This results in a couple of things, and this is all reactionary. It's a result of finding yourself at that point of frustration. The first thing is many SEO consultants go about stacking more services. So they think, okay, well, our earnings suck. We need to start adding more stuff. And usually that starts with stacking more services so that they start branching into, maybe Google ads or Facebook ads or web design. And that's where it gets even worse, because all they're doing there is they're not adding more income. They're just adding more stress and complexity. The next point there is trying to increase their rates. Now I say trying to, and I use that word trying intentionally because typically they're working as a generalist, and obviously you can't take your rates from say $900 a month to $3,000 a month for the wrong type of client, especially, a client that, let's say, is selling candles at the weekend markets. And that's where they find themselves in this, never-ending cycle of wanting to charge more in an effort to increase their earnings, but facing that resistance around pricing. Or lastly, onboarding as many new clients as possible. And this is where it becomes, a matter of volume. It's about quantity and not quality. Now, all of those things combined, especially when you've got a lousy profit margin, let's say you're working at 15%, if you're adding more to that, all that's going to do is amplify inefficiency. So that begs the question, how can we maximize our profit margin? How can we go from, say, 25% profit margins to 75% or even higher? Well, there's a couple of things that you could certainly do, and these are things that are probably worth doing anyway. The first one being you could be more aggressive with sales and marketing. And of course, you'd want to fix the underlying issues before you started doing that. Secondly, you can simplify your processes. And this would involve reducing complexity and required resources. Now, I've seen a lot of agencies providing certain services, and they've got processes in place where there might be 15 steps and 4 people involved in that workflow. And I always make the recommendation of, hey, can we get that down to, 4 steps and 1 person? Now, of course, for most SEO consultants, the first thing they'll want to do is increase their rates. And whilst there's nothing wrong with doing that, I want to preface this by saying it needs to be done for the right reasons. You can't just jack your prices up without taking into consideration a number of other factors, which I'm about to share with you. And you should also, if you're going to increase your rates, you should also be increasing the quality of the work that you provide. All right, so I'm going to share with you now 3 different pricing structures. I've broken these down into level 1, level 2, and level 3. I've used all 3 levels myself, and I know through personal experience whether or not they work, how they work, and if they're worth investing time towards. So level 1, and this is something that I spoke about recently in one of my other videos. This involves selling affordable SEO packages, and this stuff here is usually the low end, right? So you're looking anywhere in a couple of $100 a month, maybe up to $1,000 a month SEO services. And as you can see, this stuff is low margins. You might be operating in and around, let's say, 25% margins. The problem with this is it requires high throughput in order to generate decent revenue. In other words, this is often referred to in the industry as churn and burn. Just pack them in, as many as possible, onboard as many clients as possible, because the numbers we're working with are so small. This is not a pricing structure that I would recommend. However, unfortunately, a lot of SEO consultants operate at this level. Okay, level 2, this is what I teach in the SEO Accelerator program. And hourly rate is something that I think is suitable for most agencies. I think it's the first level they should start at. I don't believe anyone should start at level 1, although admittedly I spent some time there, but I got the hell out of there pretty quickly because it just doesn't work. But level 2 is the hourly rate structure. Now, hourly rate is essentially, and I've provided an example here on screen. Let's say you might be working at $165 an hour for a maximum of 15 hours per month, or $2,500 per month. And, when it comes to charging an hourly rate, you can typically get anywhere between, say, $1,500 up to $3,500 a month. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. You can go a little bit higher. I have taken the hourly rate a bit higher. However, the number of hours that are required in order to accommodate each campaign can stack up. And as you can see with charging an hourly rate, and again, this is what I teach in the SEO Accelerator program, you can take that monthly fee, cut it in half, keep 50% profits, and use the other 50% left over towards your budget, right? So you can allocate that towards content, towards paying staff, towards links and everything else. Now, level 3, value-based pricing. And this is essentially where you want to get to. This is the ultimate outcome for any SEO consultant. And this is where you can charge anywhere from, $5,000 a month and up. The benefit, of course, is it generates great income with fewer higher paying clients. Now, the next point here is high margins, of course, which makes the work fun and enjoyable. However, with value-based pricing, it's heavily dependent on being able to clearly demonstrate massive ROI. Now, this all feeds back into what I teach in the SEO Accelerator program about revenue-focused SEO. Value-based pricing has nothing to do, nothing that involves having conversations with your clients about keywords or rankings or any of that. Value-based pricing, and this is actually true somewhat for hourly-based pricing. It's revenue-focused SEO, right? This is where, actually, we may as well go to the next slide here. This is where you're running your SEO campaigns more like, let's say, a Google Ads campaign or any sort of paid traffic for that matter, where the client is putting $1 in, they're pulling the lever, and they're getting $4, $5, or $6 out. For value-based pricing, this is where the return on the client's monthly investment becomes so disproportionate that you can move up in what you charge. For example's sake, there are a number of members in the group who started out charging hourly rates, and they were charging $2,500, then they went to $3,500, and their clients were getting, seeing $150,000 or even up to $200,000 and more return on that monthly investment. Now, that's pretty strong positioning in order for you to say, okay, we're going to be bumping our rates up and shifting across to value-based pricing. And as I said, a number of members have been able to do that. They've shifted from charging that hourly rate over to value-based pricing. Now, I'll just go back a slide here. With value-based pricing, this is essentially where you just pluck a number out of thin air. Even though you're still applying the hours in the back end, that becomes somewhat irrelevant to the client because they're getting such large returns on their monthly spend. So I want to finish this presentation by saying, in order to evolve, in order to go from level 1, the low end stuff at, lousy margins, to hourly rate at, respectable margins at 50%, to ultimately moving your way through to value-based pricing where you can, stack 70, 80% margins, you've got to start running your SEO campaigns like you would for, let's say, a Google Ads campaign. It should be all about focusing on return on investment. Hey, if you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to learn more, head over to bringtheseo.com. We provide business development training for SEO consultants wanting to improve their processes, increase profits, and scale to $100,000 a month or more without all the stress and overwhelm.